Welcome students. So in today's lecture we shall be learning about the various factors that affect the enzyme activity. So basically this is the effect of enzyme and the various factors that governs the action of that particular enzyme. So in order to happen a reaction, there is an prerequisite of contact between the enzyme and substrate. So some of the important factors that govern the enzyme activity are: first is the concentration of enzymes, secondly the concentration of substrates, then the effect of temperature, the effects of pH, the effects of product concentration. The product being formed also governs the rate of reaction, and lastly the effect of activators and inhibitors. So this is also important, the effect of activators and inhibitors. So now let us start them one by one. So first of all we shall be starting it with the concentration of enzymes. What is the effect of enzyme concentration on this catalytic reaction? So as the concentration of enzyme is increased, the velocity of the reaction proportionately increases. So we can say that the concentration of enzyme, it is directly proportional to velocity of the reaction. So as the concentration of enzyme is increased, the velocity also increased proportionately. In fact, this property of enzyme has made us to determine the serum enzymes for diagnosis of various diseases. By using a known volume of serum and keeping all other factors at optimum level, the enzyme could be assayed in the lab basis. So if we draw a plot between the enzyme concentration and the velocity of the reaction, so let us see what will be the graphical representation. So this will represent the enzyme concentration, the x axis, whereas the y axis represents the velocity. So a straight line graph is obtained which increases proportionally with increase in the concentration of enzymes. Now secondly is the effect of concentration of substrate. So we all know that enzymes play a direct role. Similarly is the role of concentration of substrate. So students, we all have discussed this factor in the previous class, in which we have discussed the enzyme kinetics. So what is the effect of substrate concentration? The increase in the substrate concentration gradually increases the velocity of the enzyme reaction within the limited range of substrate levels. So it has a limited effect, and this can usually be seen with the increase in the velocity of reaction. Now how this increase occurs? This occurs and depends upon the saturation of the substrates. So we can see a graphical representation here, whereas on the x axis is the substrate concentration and y axis is represented by the velocity of the reaction. So it usually, the graph obtained is like this. So here you can easily see that there is a gradual increase in the first half of the reaction, then followed by a decrease in the levels, and ultimately this graph becomes shows a very gradual decrease and ultimately a constant value of velocity is achieved. So, this point is regarding the saturation of enzymes. So, you can see here in the initial part there is a gradual increase, then ultimately leading to the constant values of the velocity as soon as the substrates are completely occupying the enzyme. So, enzymes are completely saturated, that leads to no further increase in the velocity of the reaction. So, this effect can be understood by this following reaction. So, this is the reaction of enzyme kinetics and we had already covered this. So, these K's are the constants. So, ultimately a Michaels-Menten equation is obtained. So, I will not be getting into detail of the effect of substrate concentration, as the link for the enzyme kinetics is given below in the description box. You can refer to that, the previous video. So, the next effect is the effect of temperature. So, this is the effect of temperature. So, how the temperature helps to determine the enzyme activity. So, the velocity of the enzyme reaction increases with the increase in temperature up to a maximum, then declines sharply. So, let us see what does this means. This means that velocity of reactions increases with increase temperature up to a certain level and then declines sharply. So, if graphically this is seen, it is a bell shaped curve is usually obtained. So, in this a bell shaped curve graph is usually obtained. So, here we can plot this. So, on the x axis will be the temperature, usually in degrees Celsius, and on the y axis will be the velocity of the reaction. So, the graph that is obtained is bell shaped graph like this, and the optimum temperature for working of various enzymes is around 40 degrees Celsius, we can say. So, this temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, the optimum temperature, and the range usually varies from 10 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius, we can say. So, around 40 degrees Celsius the enzyme show the maximum activity. So, generally a term is linked with this known as the temperature coefficient. So, usually you will find a term linked with the temperature effect, that is the temperature coefficient. So, what does this temperature coefficient means? Or it is also known as Q10. It is defined as the increase in enzyme activity or enzyme velocity. It is referred to as increase in enzyme velocity when the temperature is increased by 10 degrees Celsius. When the temperature is increased by 10 degrees Celsius. So, usually after a 10 degrees Celsius increase, the enzyme velocity or reaction becomes double of the previous speed. So, in general, when the enzymes are exposed to temperatures above 40 or we can say above 50 degrees Celsius, a term known as denaturation occurs. So, what happens after this 40 degrees Celsius thing? There is the denaturation of enzymes. So, this leads to the dearrangement in the native tertiary structure of the protein. So, what is this denaturation? It is dearrangement of native structure, that is the tertiary structure. So, students, there are 4 types of structures known as primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary. So, the links regarding these structures are given in the description box below, you can refer to them. So, the native tertiary structure is usually destroyed above the temperature of 50 degrees Celsius. So, above 50 degrees there is a complete destruction of these proteins, mainly the active site. So, the worstly affected area is the active site on the enzymes. So, majority of the enzymes become inactive at higher temperatures above 70 degrees Celsius. So, we can say the enzyme is inactive above 70 degrees Celsius. So, it completely loses its capability to catalyze any particular reactions. So, the clinical significance may be the foods can be preserved in refrigerators at low temperatures due to the reduction in the activity of bacterial enzymes, whereas certain surgeries are carried out by lowering the patient's body temperature. So, thus the metabolic rate is reduced, that helps to potentiate the surgery parameters. So, the next is the 4th point, that is regarding effect of pH. So, what is the effect of pH? So, increase in the hydrogen ion concentration considerably influences the enzyme activity. We can simply see that increase in the hydrogen ion or proton, it increases the enzyme activity, or it is proportional to the enzyme activity, but in limited range only. So, as in case of the effect of temperature we see a bell shaped curve, similarly in case of the pH also a bell shaped curve is obtained. So, each enzyme has an optimum pH at which the velocity is maximum. So, we cannot signify for a particular pH value, but for every enzyme the pH value is different. So, below and above this pH the enzyme activity is much lower, and at the extreme pH the enzyme becomes totally inactive. So, now let us draw the graph for this. When we plot pH on the x axis and the velocity of the reaction on y axis, the enzyme velocity, we can say a bell shaped curve is obtained, and the highest point refers to the optimum value of the pH on x axis and the maximum velocity at this particular value. This is the value for optimum pH. So, above and below this range the enzyme activity is much lowered, and at the extreme pH values we can say the activity is totally lost and the enzyme becomes inactive. So, most of the enzymes show optimum activity around neutral pH, that is 6 to 8. However, many exceptions like pepsin we can say. So, here I will refer to you some of the examples. So, most of enzymes they work in a pH range of 6 to 8, most of the enzymes, but there are certain exceptions such as pepsin, which is found in stomach. It usually works at a very low range of pH, that is around 1 to 2, whereas many phosphatase enzymes such as acid phosphatase they work around the pH values of 4 to 5, and there are many alkaline phosphatase also that has the alkaline pH in our body, that is alkaline phosphatase. So, they usually work around the pH values of 10 to 11. So, the hydrogen ion influences the enzyme activity by altering the ionic charge on the amino acids, particularly at the active site, substrate and the enzyme substrate complex. So, this was regarding the effect of pH. The next point we are covering is the effect of product concentration. Now, students, the next one is the effect of product concentration. The accumulation of reaction products generally decreases the enzyme velocity. So, basically we can see that accumulation of reaction products they generally decrease the enzyme velocity. So, for certain enzymes, the products combine with the active site of the enzyme and form a loose complex and thus inhibit the enzyme activity. So, in order to graphically represent it, we will have to consider a zero order reaction in which the enzyme activity does not depend upon the substrate concentration. So, if we plot a graph between the time and product concentration, we say, we obtain a typical graph like this, and students remember this is for the zero order reaction. So, a very small curve slope can be obtained in case of no enzyme. So, if no enzyme is present, the reaction will be like this. So, with the presence of an equitable concentration of enzymes, this becomes like this. So, this is usually with the required amount, we can say 1 times of the enzyme concentration. Now, if the concentration of enzyme is doubled, the rate of reaction usually bumps out and it shows a very sharp increase just by doubling the concentration of enzymes, and the product concentration effect are like this, and this is for zero order reactions only. So, do not get confused in this, I am just representing it graphically here. So, the next part is that affects the effect of enzymes, or the factor that determines is the effect of activators. Now, this is the effect of activators or inhibitors, we can say. So, how the various activators affect the enzyme activity? So, some of the enzymes require certain inorganic metallic cations, we can say, or the cofactors. So, certain cofactors are required for the proper functioning of enzymes, and these can be the metallic cations such as magnesium, manganese, calcium, sodium, potassium, copper, and many more that usually governs the reactions. So, they are required for their optimum activity. So, rarely the anions are also needed for the enzyme activity, such as chloride ions for amylase, salivary amylase. So, anions you will see rarely, only I will be discussing the example of chloride here. So, this is in case of amylase only, the activity of amylase is governed by the chloride ions. So, two categories of enzymes requiring the metals for their activity are distinguished. The first one being metal activated enzymes. So, these are the metal activated enzymes. So, under this comes the example of ATPase, that is governed by magnesium and calcium. So, in this case the metal is not tightly held by the enzymes and can be exchanged easily. So, the metallic ions are loosely bound. Whereas, in the second category, that is the metalloenzymes, so the enzymes hold the metals rather tightly, which are not readily exchanged. So, we can say the covalent bonding is occurring here between the metal ion and enzyme. And there are various enzymes here. We can say the example of alcohol dehydrogenase, or the phenol oxidase, pyruvate oxidase. So, for pyruvate oxidase we all know that manganese is involved. Similarly, for cytochrome oxidase, so cytochrome oxidase is an important enzyme in the cytochromes, where the energy production occurs in the mitochondria, and this is usually governed by the iron and copper. So, these are the various activators that are involved. So, now let us see what will be the graphical difference. So, if we plot a graph between the substrate concentration on the x axis and the velocity of the reaction on the y axis. So, how we will measure the effect of activators and inhibitors? So, let us see a normal enzyme controlled reaction is showing a curve like this. So, this is a normal controlled reaction. In presence of an inhibitor, initially the rate of reaction will be decreased and ultimately it will be achieved. So, this is with inhibitor, the red colored line. And lastly, what will be the effect of the activator? The activator will be showing a very sharp increase in the velocity of reaction and ultimately leading to a constant rate of reaction. So, this is with activator, the orange colored line. So, here you can easily see how the activator and inhibitor affects the rate of the reaction. So, there are some other factors that also govern the enzyme activity, and this is the effect of time. So, how time affects this? Let us see. So, under ideal and optimal conditions like pH and temperature, the time required for an enzyme reaction is less. We can simply say that time required for an enzyme governed reaction is less under optimum conditions or optimal conditions like pH, temperature, etc., many others. So, variation in the time of the reaction are generally related to the alterations in the pH and temperature. So, basically the temperature and pH, they mainly govern the time requirements. So, a minor variation may lead to changes in the time required to complete that particular reaction. And lastly, we can say a bonus point here, that is the effect of light and radiations. So, the radiations and light also possess some effect on the enzyme activity. So, exposure of enzymes to UV light we can see there that exposure to UV light or UV radiations, gamma rays, X-rays, they inactivate certain enzymes due to formation of peroxides. So, it causes inactivation due to peroxide formation and this may lead to free radical destruction. So, a free radical mechanism leads to inactivation of enzymes. So, for example, we can say UV rays inhibits the salivary amylase activity. So, example here is that UV rays inhibit salivary amylase. So, students, this was regarding the effect of various conditions on the enzyme activity. So, let us revise it once again. So, here we have the effect of concentration, we may add two more, that is the effect of time and the effect of light and radiations. So, the first one is the concentration of enzymes. You can see the graph here, it is directly proportional to the enzyme concentration. Then comes the substrate concentration. In this, the saturation of enzymes may lead to a constant rate of reaction. Then comes the effect of temperature, in which a bell shaped curve is obtained and temperature coefficient is governed by every 10° rise in the temperature. Then the denaturation, then the effect of pH, that is similar to that of the temperature. Then effect of the product concentration, how the accumulation of product in zero order reaction determines the enzyme activity. Then comes the effect of activators, the metalloenzymes and the metal activated enzymes. You can see here the effect of inhibitor, control and activator. So, in this case you will also have to give a keen understanding regarding the inhibition and allosteric regulation. So, the descriptions will be, the links for these particular topics is given in the description below, you can refer to that. Then the effect of time, and lastly the effect of light and radiation. So, I hope students this is all clear to you now.